everyone. Climate change and global warming are becoming more and more evident on Earth today. Well, what is climate change? Climate change is the long term shifts in temperatures and weather patterns. The frequency of heat waves, tsunamis, and other natural disasters is going up due to the rising temperatures on Earth and climate change. Every degree that Earth becomes hotter has a drastic and dangerous impact on our world. Natural disasters like droughts, floods, tornadoes become more common. Summers become hotter, winters become colder and more extreme. Earth's temperature has already risen by around 1.1 degrees from pre-industrial levels. Now, this may seem like a really small number, but it is way more dangerous than you think. Climate change impacts the fragile, interconnected ecosystem of Earth in many ways. First, it impacts agriculture. Changes in temperature and precipitation patterns can affect crop yields and food production. Some regions may experience shifts in suitable agriculture zones, leading to challenges in maintaining food security. Climate change can also lead to ocean acidification, which is the absorption of excess CO2 by the oceans, which lead to ocean acidification. This has harmful effects on marine life, particularly on organisms with calcium carbonate skeletons or shells. Climate change also comes with social and economic impacts. It can drastically exacerbate existing social and economic inequalities. Vulnerable communities may face disproportionate impacts due to their geographical location, lack of resources, or reliance on climate-sensitive sectors. Scientists have also discovered climate change has a worse impact on mountainous regions as compared to flatlands. This is an example of disproportionate impacts in geographical locations. Now, climate change also leads to a rise in sea levels. In the past 30 years, sea levels have risen by 3.6 inches, that is 9.1 centimeters. And by 2050, scientists estimate that sea levels would rise another 12 inches or 30 centimeters from what it is today. And by the end of the century, sea levels will rise by more than a foot. Many coastal cities around the world will sink and go underwater. This shows us how the increasing global temperature is linked to so many different events like the rising of sea levels and low crop yield. The Paris Agreement, signed by world leaders in 2015, pledged that their respective countries will prevent the global temperature from rising by more than 2 degrees or even 1.5 degrees if possible. The agreement was signed by 196 countries worldwide. To take serious action, governments need to introduce heavy electrification in transportation and the use of renewable sources for energy. Also, deforestation has to be drastically reduced and more trees must be planted so that carbon emissions can be reduced. Non-renewable energy sources like coal, oil, and natural gas have to be dramatically reduced to make a serious impact. Due to the industrialization on a massive scale in the past 50 years and the carbon emissions generated by it, by the end of the century, scientists estimate that the Earth will rise in temperature by 3 degrees if no further action is taken. More than 140 countries of the United Nations have pledged to become net zero carbon emission countries by the end of the century. The US has pledged to become a net zero carbon emission country by 2050. The EU also has pledged to become a net zero carbon emission country by 2050, China by 2060, and India by 2070. This is an important step into reducing the disastrous effects of climate change on our home planet, Earth. Now, only time will tell if these efforts are successful or they're not. And what other steps can we take to stop climate change here on Earth?